I know that there's some people that want to move on to the next section. I did too, but we do need to do some review over stuff that we've covered previously. So for today, we're going to go over a little bit over Mesopotamian civilization again. It's been quite a while since we did that, so we're going to do a little bit of a refresher here in this Loom video. So Mesopotamia civilization. Covered this many times, guys. Remember that civilizations are complex societies with cities, governments, art, religion, class divisions, and a writing system. Different civilizations have different aspects about them. They have different governments, they have different art styles, they have different religions sometimes. They had rivers, which were important because they made for good farming conditions, guys. Remember, rivers are good for farming. And governments were initially formed because someone had to make plans and decisions for the common good. So Mesopotamia civilization existed between two rivers, and you guys should know this by now. We've talked about it many times, the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers. These floods were frequent and unpredictable. They were very hard to control. They were very difficult to deal with. But they did learn how to control them eventually with dams and channels, and they used these rivers to irrigate. Remember, guys, irrigating is watering crops. That is what irrigating is. It means to water crops. And many cities formed in the southern region of Mesopotamia known as Sumer. And these Sumerian cities were city-states with their own governments. They often fought each other, and to protect themselves, walls were built around themselves. So, guys, you guys have seen this chart before in my class, but this is a characteristic of a Sumerian city-state. We talked about city-states in Greece a little bit later, too. They had an aspect like this as well. But a Sumerian city-state, which are these little independent cities that operated kind of like their own countries. They each had their own government. They were each ruled by a king. They each grew their own crops. They each owned surrounding land. They each formed alliances with other city-states, and they worshipped many gods. So in Mesopotamian civilization, most were farmers, but some were artisans or skilled workers, merchants, and traders. And they had three classes: the upper class, which are the kings, priests, and government officials; the middle class, which were artisans, merchants, fishers, and farmers; and then the lower class, which were slaves. So we're going to move forward just a little bit here. The Sargon, he was the king of the Akkadians. He ended up doing away with the original Sumerian city-states, and then he conquered all of Mesopotamia and set up the world's first empire. Now, through social studies, we've talked about empires many times. We talked about the Roman Empire pretty recently. This was considered to be the first empire, Sargon's empire, a group of many different lands under one ruler. So we covered this many times, guys. An empire is many different lands under the control of one person. And after Sargon, another group of people became powerful. They built the city of Babylon along the Euphrates River. We talked about Hammurabi in the past. He conquered lands north and south of Babylon, and he helped create the Babylonian Empire. And he had a code. This code that Hammurabi came up with covered many crimes, farming, business activities, marriage, and family. And when we looked at this in class, you guys should remember that this code came across as pretty cruel, very harsh, but it was an important step in the development of a justice system. As you saw, later civilizations like Rome and Greece, they had laws themselves. The Code of Hammurabi was a very important first step in the development of a justice system as it was to develop.